One of Chris D'Elia's victims has come forward with some new details that she wanted to provide after the Rolling Stone cover because she's responding to all of Chris D'Elia's fans attacking her. So her name is Jasmine. She is verified. She put this on Reddit and she puts, in light of recent responses to the Rolling Stone article, there are a few things I want to further explain. First, I want to make it very clear I didn't know Chris was in a relationship. He made it seem like it was a one-off thing, that he got a girl pregnant. Not once, before I found out for myself, would he admit to me that they were in or had been in a relationship at any point. It wasn't as though he was talking negatively about his partner. In the first months, he adamantly denied any form of relationship. I'm 28 now, and I was 25 when Chris and I began seeing each other. I was also not married at the time. My husband and I had split up. We were merely living together. I have been called stupid countless times because I entered into this situation and stayed with him. I was in a very vulnerable spot when I met him. I was fragile. I was naive. And in retrospect, I made a terrible choice in reaching out to him. It felt safe. It continues. It felt okay, but it couldn't have been further from it. If this was me now, I wouldn't give him the time of day. What people don't seem to understand is that the control didn't happen all at once. He incrementally implemented these rules and ideals slowly so that the red flags weren't glaringly obvious. He began to make semi-degrading comments, but he would frame it as purely a kink thing. Eventually, it bled into our entire relationship. I was constantly told I didn't matter, that my feelings, my physical and emotional pain came second. Damn. To his pleasure. I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone about him, so he was my only confidant. And if it was about him, I was out of luck. He started telling me that if I was to say no to him in any way, he would ice me out. He said he wouldn't keep a girl who disobeys. And I remember that being a message I saved, and he made me unsave it, stating he didn't want anything creepy to be kept in the chat. That is kind of creepy. He acted as though he was doing what he was for our benefit, tracking my location because he couldn't be there to look out, having me dress a certain way to keep me safe. And again, at the point I was at in my life, it felt nice to have somebody seemingly take an active interest in my well-being. Then over time, he evolved into a level of control and ownership that I never would have signed on for in the beginning. But step by step, you get desensitized, which is something highly skilled manipulators know how to do very well. Chris began holding my money over my head. I was depending on his promised monetary assistance, and since I had received financial help in the beginning, it seemed likely he was truthful in that regard. On 2 additional occasions, he paid me cash in order to help with my travel expenses. At that point, I lost all of my friendships, pushed away from my family. He made me feel sometimes by telling me verbatim that he was all I had. You hold on to that person you thought you knew in the beginning, and you'll do anything to get back to that. If it was physically abusive, which bordered by eliminating the option for consent, nobody would sit here and say, why didn't you just leave him? And even though he never struck me more than a slap, oh, he slapped you, I was afraid for my safety. I was afraid of him, but I was also terrified of what my life would look like without him. There were many times when his interest and requirements made me severely uncomfortable. He detailed to me how he wanted to make me pass out. Damn! He said he would make it so that I couldn't move or breathe until I passed out. When we had physical encounters and he would hold my head down, I would be afraid that I wouldn't come back up. He was typically very aggressive. Aside from a time or two yelling at you if you didn't immediately do what he said sexually. He claimed over and over that he owned me, that my body was for him and his pleasure alone. Once, was for him the pleasure alone. He created this hierarchy within his relationships, with everyone competing for favor. Chris played a lot of mind games, trying to push us into a state where he was the only person we trusted, the only one we could talk to. Although plenty of subjects were off the table, he threatened to leave if we brought them up. I.e., Charlie, a girl I had connected with on Reddit, was also seeing Chris when the first wave of allegations came out. He didn't want us to talk because, as we came to learn later, he was feeding us both very different narratives, and he didn't want us to figure out the truth. He pitted me against her, making me believe she was stalking me, intentionally getting the same tattoos as me, buying the same clothes as me, trying to harass me and my family, monitoring my social media, when really Chris was orchestrating all of it. I wound up discovering that he was picking out this girl's tattoos as well, while claiming to me that he had no idea what she got done. We had no autonomy, no choice in our hair, makeup, nails, clothes, tattoos, body shapes, where we went, what we did, who we saw. It was all dictated by Chris. Seeing that Charlie was in a 10-year-long relationship with Chris that began when she was 16 and ran up until last year. Damn! We were hoping she would participate in a Rolling Stone article, but with growing fears of what Chris would do in response, she pulled out and the article had to be rewritten from a different angle. He subjected myself and many other girls to severe emotional blackmail. It was classic narcissistic abuse. Just because the tactics are textbook, that doesn't mean they aren't effective. Okay, I gotta be honest with you. Other than the slapping thing, I don't care. It's like the underage thing is a problem. Other than that, well, then, it really kind of is their fault for just agreeing to do it. Like, just say he was a rich celebrity and I would do anything to be with a rich celebrity. I mean, that's basically it. Just say that. And, yeah, that's it. I really don't care. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.